Because when you look at it, it wasn't 2-3 years ago that Marcus Rashford was basically a mirror image of this boy. Fresh, enthusiastic, motivated, brave, not factored. So you've got to look at this environment, so Man United, and say, what is so corrosive and so toxic, for want of a better word, that it pollutes these players? Is it the expectation of Manchester United? Is it the fact that they can't get some consistency? Is it 3 years of lackadaisical manager under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Is it an interim manager coming in they don't respond to? But what you're looking at is players like this kid. I saw the interview he did after the game as well. You know, some of it's formulaic that the young man did, and he talked about the nature of what it's a game of two halves in the first half and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, he's
but
19.
Exactly. But he also exuded a level of enthusiasm and ambition. That's, I want to be the best player on the pitch. I think I'm the best player on the pitch. I want to go on and do that. Now, let's not get carried away. A ball was knocked through, he put it in the back of the net. You'd expect most players that play for Man United to be able to take that chance. But he was the one that took it, right? So I thought Ralph Rangnick spoke well. And I felt that he sort of talked again. I talk about these managers talking about players now in a very different way than we've heard previously, because it's quite a disparaging comment. Maybe a few of these other players should play that way too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what people have been talking about with Man United. There's too many big-time Charlies in that Manchester United dressing room that think that because they're playing for Man United, that's the end of the journey. If you look back on previous classes of Man United players, they'd be embarrassed to be associated with the same group of players that are here now, because they don't reflect. You don't look at Harry Maguire and think, oh, there goes Jaap Stam or Rio Ferdinand's replacement. You don't look at it in that respect, do you? Or Nemanja Vidic. You look at the player and say, geez, and he gets the criticism that he gets. And you look at some of the players that are out there, because United weren't good last night.
No.
I mean, they were poor at times.
Well, I just wonder what it tells us, though, Simon. He scored against Brentford. He scored against Leeds. What does it tell us that United rely on a 19-year-old to dig them out? What about the others?
But how can we make this argument? Manchester United were built upon a class of 92 when Alan Hansen famously said on television, you don't win anything with kids. And they precisely did. This is part and parcel of their DNA.
Yeah, but when others around them should get to the level that Elanga can get to.
That's true too.
He shouldn't be the only leader.
But the fact of the matter is they were losing 1-0, right? So they weren't being beat outside by Seville. So people were doing their jobs. David De Gea was doing his job.
Well, last night against Atletico, yeah.
Yeah, defensively, they were doing their jobs at times. So it's not just the fact that ultimately everyone should take a leaf out of this kid's book. They should be operating at a high level. But Man United, from the days of putting Brian Kidd in their team to Georgie Best and whoever else, have always gone to young players.
Yeah.
And young players are the part of the mix that are added in there because they have the bravery, they have the talent, they have the unbridled focus on being arriving on a scene. But there are other players out there that that could do better. We know there are other players that could do better, but it just seems to me that...
I think Ronaldo was one of them last night. He should forget throwing strops here, there and everywhere and got on with what he's being asked to do, score a goal.
I don't know if that's fair, Jim, because the setup of the team and the manner in which they played, Ronaldo was dropping deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to try and get the ball. That's not his game. His game is to spearhead and attack. But if you're not... United... we talk about 7 touches for Lukaku in the game that Chelsea had against Palace.
Yeah.
United didn't make an incursion into... Incursion being the operative word of the day.
Yeah.
An incursion into Seville's penalty box in the first half. How bad were they?
Sure.
But they still came out of that game in a stadium that was so passionately motivated with a 1-1 draw. And I told you they'd do all right against
Well,
Atletico.
they're right in it. The thing is, can they go on and win it? That would be a story and a half. It's about time Manchester United won the Champions League. They haven't won it since 2008.
Not going to win it, are they?
Well,
can you put that Man United team, in all seriousness, with a straight face, against Manchester City or Liverpool? Or
who knows? Who knows?
No, they're a mile off. They will be mullered by Manchester City in the Champions League. They will be mullered by Liverpool.
Did you think Chelsea would win the final against City?
I thought they had a puncher's chance, yeah. I thought that they had a puncher's chance. On the balance of probability, you would have expected Man City to win that final. But that was an outmanoeuvred final.
On another front, I like Rangnick more and more every time I hear him.
I think everyone likes him the more and more they hear him.
I'm wondering about Bielsa this morning, and I look at some of the headlines again in the Times. Anfield Blitz turns up the heat on title rivals and on Bielsa. Liverpool 6, Leeds United 0. What now for Bielsa? What is coming next? I'll tell you who's coming next. It's Tottenham and Antonio Conte, curiously.
Well, you never know you're going to get there, do you?
Yeah, but Liverpool battered Leeds United, and Leeds United have got an abundance of problems. Gabi Bonlahor certainly didn't hold back on that.
I've seen Sunday League managers that can have better tactical awareness than Marcelo Bielsa. How many times are they going to concede over 20 shots? How many times are Leeds going to be popped? Like, this is a record, to lose 6-0 and 7-0 in one season. Bielsa, I've been saying it for a long time, yes, getting Leeds promoted, done amazing last season. And I called it at the start of the season, Ali. I says, second season syndrome.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to find them out. Everyone's going to enjoy playing against them. I mean, look at the game yesterday. You're playing against probably one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah.
And you're going man for man. For me, the tactics, honestly, if I was a Leeds player, I'd be on the phone to my agent after the game saying, he's killing us.
Pipe down.
I mean, I don't know about phoning his agent. I mean, how relevant is that? But the fact is,
Well,
they
he
seem
wouldn't be able to
themselves.
get in a lead side because you have to work hard.
Well, they seem to leave themselves so open, Simon. I mean, they've conceded the most goals now in the Premier League, 56,
Yep.
3 more than Norwich.
Yep.
I mean, they'll need to watch out. Conte and Tottenham are going to go there on Saturday, and Conte will be all out to do a job on Bielsa and Leeds.
Well, sure. But I mean,
Because it appears everybody else is.
Liverpool are good at the moment, aren't they? Let's be honest about it. They're pretty good at the moment.
For sure.
And if Leeds, you've got to... some would say it's a bit like Harry Carey. He's going over there and just saying, I don't care. I'm going to commit football suicide by playing in this game the way I want to. But this is the style that they play. And this is how they play. And, you know, they've had the situation where they've got this depleted squad for the entirety of the season, right? And there is an element of these key components that are out of their side affect the whole axis of how this team plays. It is laughable to suggest that Gabby Agbonlahor that Bielsa would ever sign Gabby Agbonlahor in the first place, and laughable to suggest that Leeds United need to be replacing him right now. He is an excellent coach. They're having a difficult time.
A lot of Leeds fans not having him this morning.
Well, maybe they're not because they've just
we looked at many of the messages.
They've just
coming
got
in
beat
this morning.
6-0. I mean, I have been.
I know, but Simon, again, sorry to interrupt you. If you're doing something that's not working, change it. He doesn't change it.
No, you stick to your principles. What a ridiculous thing to do. If you suddenly change because the outside influences directly change. If you believe fundamentally in a philosophy that's gotten you to a certain point, right, and at this moment in time it's a rough period and you're not getting what you want from it, what do? Change? You flip-flop?
They're licking goals. 56 goals conceded in the Premier League. That's
So
the
what?
most by a mile.
So what? So what? There are other teams in this division that are far worse than they are. This is a difficult time for Leeds United. What you do, and I've always been the one that said, I'm not going to bow at the temple of Bielsa. I'm not going to sit there and say, I get fed up with all these people bringing out the narrative that, they all love Bielsa. But Leeds United are a very compelling football team. I think they'll come through this situation, and then they can consider whether Bielsa is able to kick on based upon Radrizzini's ambitions for the club. But I do not sit here and think that ultimately that Bielsa should be changing things. This is what this team has been set up to do. This is how he's built this team. He doesn't have the players in that group that know how to change. So he's going to have to make them be more effective. Yes, of course, it's a hell of a tanking at Liverpool, but with due respect, there's going to be a few sides the way Liverpool playing at this moment in time. They're going to get a good spanking off Liverpool because they're playing so well.
Yeah. But they have problems, don't they? They have problems.
Well,
they're leaking goals, Simon. They've got to do something about it.
Well, they're
leaking goals. It'll end up they get relegated.
They won't get relegated.
If it keeps going like this, they're in trouble.
I tell you who's in trouble. It's Brentford who are in trouble.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.